She's got long legs and short shorts, but she ain't got no teeth. She wears a red bandana on her head and she smiles so sweet. She'll steal your heart, a very first sight should rip apart your soul. She'll torture your mind and waste your time and drag you down the road, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.
You're listening to the St. Andrew Jezebel Podcast. My name is Ashley Feller. I'm a third-generation Panama City native, musician, and I'm also a songwriter. I grew up in St. Andrews, and this week I'll be sharing community events for the upcoming week of July 15th through the 21st. Then I am so excited because we have got one of my most favorite creative folks here today, and that's Chase Pospichel. We had a great talk about creativity and Chase's artistic journey. I also need to let y'all know that today, Chase is debuting his new unreleased original song, On a Wire, exclusively on the St. Andrews Jezebel Podcast YouTube channel. So pause the podcast, click the link in the description so you can check out Chase's new song, and remember to subscribe. Our old news segment this week features an article from the St. Andrews Bay News, published July 17th in 1923, and I think you'll find that history is repeating itself because this column is called Hotel Needed, Also Houses. Well, I've got a lot of great things to share with y'all, so grab your snacks, a nice cold beer, and enjoy the show. If you're in need of a good laugh, then Panama City Comedy presents regional comedians at the House of Bourbon every third Thursday, which is this Thursday of the month. There's a $10 cover charge, and the doors open at 7. There is a new exhibit at the Panama City Publishing Museum featuring master printer Buddy West and printers Bonnie Blue, Celeste Hansel, Deborah Kivett, Robbie Fehrenbach, Shirley Howell, and more. And this is only in July. The Panama City Publishing Museum is open Tuesday through Friday, 1 to 5:30, and Saturdays from 9 to 1. Make sure you tell all your salty friends about it and go check it out. On Friday and also July 23rd, join the Panama City Quality of Life for Movies in the Bark at Oaks by the Bay Park. This week they'll be featuring A Dog's Purpose, and the next week they'll be featuring A Dog's Journey. Also, before the film this Friday, they'll be hosting a dog costume contest at Sweet Feed from 5 to 7 p.m., and the judging will take place before the movie. All pets are highly encouraged, but they must be on a leash. This event is free to the public. The market at St. Andrews is every Saturday in the lot next to the Shrimp Boat, beginning at 8 a.m. There's a great variety of fantastic arts and crafts vendors, food trucks, and there's also live music brought to you by Floriopolis, and that starts at 10 a.m. And this week the featured musician is one of my favorites. He's a wonderful guitar player, Martin Rodriguez. Also this Saturday from 10 to 2, Gypsy Beach is having an open studio session, so you can come in, choose your piece of art, and enjoy creating. It's $25 per person, and all supplies are included. No registration is required. Just stop in and make art. Also, while you're out and about this Saturday, why not visit our neighbors, the Trendy Side? They have the cutest dresses, y'all. They're putting out new arrivals all week long, so go treat yourself to some retail therapy. They're located at 1129 Beck Avenue, in between Sunjammers and Floriopolis. Speaking of Sunjammers, I hear that they have a huge selection of Blenders polarized sunglasses. Stop by Sunjammers and check them out. Try yourself a pair. And if you're looking to take your kayaking in a new direction, I hear they also have the new Hobie Lynx. I hear it's lightweight, fast, stable, sexy, and comfortable. What else do you need in a kayak? When's the last time you had dinner at Thai Basil? They have a great selection of curries, sushi, and other traditional Thai dishes. After you've had your fill, strut your stuff over to the Salty Hobo for some late-night cocktails and live music. Be sure to check out the piano Billy Kay, which was painted by Floriopolis volunteers. Since we're on the subject of Floriopolis volunteers, have you seen the new Art in Public Spaces exhibit on Janie's Fence? The current art displayed features reptiles and amphibians and features artwork by Silas Dyer, Kelly Dyer, Jared Wampler, J.A. Robinson, Heather Parker, Jim Hayton, Maverick Knowlton, Krista Eggleston, and more. All of us at Floriopolis would like to thank our generous sponsors, Brad Stevens, Crystal Overend, Ellen Maplesden, Pat Neese, and Denise Nyland. Sunday is always the best in St. Andrews. This Sunday, enjoy brunch at Alice's or Little Village. Casey's open mic starts at 2 at the Little Village, so come enjoy a delicious mimosa, brunch from Finn's, and come share a song with Casey and friends. Wind down your weekend at Uncle Ernie's with a glass of wine and fresh seafood. This Sunday evening, Parker and Kelsey are making harmonious music for you starting at 7 p.m. Well, that's all the community events I have for this week. Tune in next week for more. One of the best things about St. Andrews is that you can see live music every day. That's right, there is live music being played somewhere in St. Andrews 7 nights a week. Fortunately, my friend Ken Schaefer creates and publishes a weekly schedule for St. Andrews as well as most of Bay County. Ken's spreadsheet schedule is updated often when there's any changes. Ken also shares individual music events and is walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to supporting live music. Not only does Ken supply the music schedules, but he attends several music performances a week and takes fantastic photos of the musicians. As a working musician myself, I feel blessed to have Ken and his wife Donna as treasured members of our local musical family. Make sure you like and follow Ken's page, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook, so that you'll always know where all the live music will happen. Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you do. Chase Pospichel is a multifaceted creative and a native of St. Andrews. When Chase was pressured to complete an assigned poetry assignment, that's when he knew it was time to answer the creative call. After years of experimenting with contrasting art mediums, Chase has evolved into a gifted singer-songwriter who performs regularly throughout the region. Chase is debuting his original song, On a Wire, on our YouTube channel today. I hope you'll take the time to listen. Chase lives in celebration of his creative journey, living out his personal belief that we are far more than we perceive ourselves to be. Good morning, Chase. When did you begin your creative journey, and how did you arrive at playing music now?
Oh, all right. Well, I first started writing, I was going to Jenks Middle School. I had a English teacher that I was failing his class. I was in 8th grade, and I remember all my friends were about to go to 9th grade. I just need to pass English, which was like one of my favorite classes. I just didn't care about school. So the teacher pulls me aside and he's like, we have a poetry event coming up. You need an A, 100. You need a 100 A, like a full A to pass just barely so you can go to high school next year. And I was like, okay, what I got to do? He's like, I just need you to write a real poem. Like, I need to know that you're really taking this seriously, and I'll get up and read it in front of the class, and I'll give you an A. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went home that night and I was like, I got to do this because I don't want to repeat the 8th grade. And I went home and wrote my first poem. It was about skateboarding. And I remember just as I was doing that, the feeling that I got. And, you know, before that, not really having a voice, feeling like I never really had a voice. I didn't have an outlet to kind of speak my truth. And then afterwards, and being able to read it and just seeing how other people connected with the things that you were saying, because a lot of people, we all have these feelings. Up until a couple of years ago, I didn't know that not everybody had the skill to put it in words. So that was where it started. I wrote that first poem, and I've been writing ever since.
It's amazing how when we're faced with a potential hardship, how we're sort of forced to find our voice. And so you play music a lot in the St. Andrews area. What's one of your favorite things about performing here in St.
Well, I got two. For one, the energy, because St. Andrews is just like its own animal, you know. And secondly, I grew up here. So it was really important to, you know, come back home, and just the way I've evolved, you know, going from poetry to rapping to teaching myself guitar, and now I sing, to come back to my hometown neighborhood, and everybody's so receptive, and everybody just, you know, got so much love for me here. So I love playing in this place just to give back to my people. Like, not saying that everybody's not my people, but like the people I grew up with, my neighbors that I came up with, and they watched the evolution process firsthand. And then also, you know, the energy. We have an energy here that we don't have other places in other parts of the town.
You got that right. It's salty and it's funky and we like it that way. So how did the transition happen between, as you mentioned a moment ago, being a poet to becoming a performing, singing guitar player?
Oh, yes. So I'm a big believer in, people respecting their processes because, I've heard it said, you might be comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10, or y'all might be writing different books. But the evolution process for me as a creative has been pretty interesting. I started, like I said, with poetry, and that just took over full scale. I always loved rap music. I have like a high energy and like a straightforward, assertive, kind of aggressive energy sometimes. And rap was an outlet for me to express that. So my poetry started taking these rhyming formats, and I just started going. And when I was younger, a lot of people who do know me from back then, I had a CD out when I was 15. I did a mixtape when I was 17. And then I ended up going to prison for guns when I was 20. So I spent from 20 to 30 locked up. And it was interesting because that was where like a big evolution in my creativity, like, because I've always been a poet first and foremost. I've always written poetry, but I stopped rapping so much. I just started I read a lot of books and wrote a lot of poetry, started journaling, and it just helped me to better understand myself and then hone my skills. The books were building my vocabulary. So I remember I used to just carry a dictionary around. Secretly, I'm a word nerd. For sure. So like people who might not know that about me, I'm a word nerd. If I read interesting words, like in all these crazy fantasy books I was reading, or words from past centuries that they don't really use anymore, I try to implement them when I speak, or I would carry the dictionary around and like write them down. And I don't know, it was just interesting because everything changed. I was better able to express myself. And then, like I said, I got to know myself a little better. And then prison gave me all that time to just hone those skills. I also taught myself guitar while I was locked up. So later in my bid, I was like 7 years, I'd been locked up, and I was at a compound that had a guitar for the first time. I remember it was just a little shitty Walmart guitar, like a junior guitar with nylon strings. And I remember sitting out in the yard one day, and there was like 10 guys on the compound that could play, and they'd all been playing for like 10, 15 years plus. And we were sitting out there, and they just made this little shitty guitar with like busted frets sing. And I was just in awe. And I've always been drawn to it since I was a kid. But I remember going back to my rack, and I was sitting there, and I was just like, damn, I wish I could do that. And a thought occurred to me, like, why can't you? I didn't have a good answer. I was like, oh, okay. Well, guess I got to hold myself accountable here. So every day, I would go to the hottest part of the day when nobody wanted to go outside and rent the guitar. And I'd go get it, and I'd go hug the side of a building. And I had a buddy of mine show me an E minor. That was the first chord I learned, just because it's sad. And I was like, yes, that's my chord.
Yeah, nice little sad 2-finger chord. Yeah. Absolutely. How many billions of songs have been based on that? Oh, yeah.
So I went with that, taught myself guitar, got out. Then I took a cell tower job and was traveling fresh out of prison. So I seen in the Midwest, I was like 20 states in 1 year. And I just remember playing my guitar any chance I could. It was like the only thing I did outside of work. Sit in my hotel room, cross random podunk towns, and just play this guitar. And then it grew into this.
That's so inspiring. And so what do you believe is the biggest takeaway from having somewhat, I guess you could say, risen from the ashes of having been in an institution to now being free to be an artist? What do you think is the most valuable part you've experienced after this?
Oh, man. So I definitely have had a lot of coming to know oneself moments, especially as a creative. I think because we dive deep into ourselves and we're always constantly having to give it out. And yeah, I think I've got more acquainted with myself in the last 3 years than I probably ever have in my life. It's been interesting, and it's all through my creative outlets. Like sometimes I do random shit. Like I got on a painting kick. I didn't even know I could paint.
Wow.
And then now my bedroom has all these paintings that I did that are awesome. I got on a kintsugi kick, which is like the Japanese art of celebrating broken things. Just because you're broken doesn't mean you're, throw it away. It's a mending of broken pottery. And what they did is, something would be broken, some family heirloom or whatever, and they would mend it back together, and then they would use gold powder and they would trace the cracks with gold lines. So it brought attention and awareness to the broken parts, but also made them beautiful. And the whole art and philosophy behind it, I was like, oh yeah. So I just randomly went thrifting for different pots and bowls, and I went and broke them and put them back together. Put it back together. And yeah, so I just, all these creative things, everything that I've dabbled with or get into, it just helps me to understand me better, and it helps me to get out what's in here, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Going back to what you said, it's amazing and compelling what an introspective experience we can have through the creative process.
Absolutely.
And so now, recently, when you sit down to write, what's your process? How do you usually go about it?
Oh, so it's, I guess, like most people that, do what we do, they talk about you being a channel, and it's kind of what it is. I give myself that space and that permission. I think everybody gets so caught up in their lives. Everybody who knows me, I'm always on the go. I'm busy. And a lot of my friends are telling me, like, you got to slow down, blah, blah, blah. But it takes me actually putting my phone away, giving myself hey, Chase, for the next 2 hours, you don't have to do anything but sit here with this pen, pick up your guitar. So giving myself the space and the permission has been the biggest things for me. And I encourage everybody to do that, because it is a process. You do have to give yourself that space and permission. A lot of times we don't give ourselves permission to do things, and you think it's just second nature, but it's not. Give yourself the space and the permission. And all of a sudden, one of the songs I'm going to share later, I wrote it in 45 minutes. Just because I sat down and was I felt like I had some things to say. And I could feel that. I know what that feels like. And I just gave myself that. And it was beautiful. It was really good. So my process is pretty sporadic, but it does start with that. Other than that, sometimes it might be poetry. Sometimes it might be rap. Sometimes I might just be free writing words that don't make sense. But, I get a hold of the gist of what I'm saying, and then I shape it. The revision process is important, and you fine tune it. But that's pretty much how I approach things. Yeah.
Love that. And so if not art, then what?
I don't know, because I feel like art is everything. Expression in any form, I feel like is art. So yoga, art, martial arts, art. I mean, whether you're painting, poetry, singing, I just feel like everything that one does, art. The Japanese got the little tea ceremonies. Mm-hmm. That's an art form. So I don't really know if I could separate anything art or something else. I feel like everything's art.
I thought you might say something like that. Resonates with me too. And so what do you wish that the public knew about being a creative person that they might not?
It's not all it's cracked up to be. I will say that. Something that's interesting to me is that sometimes I feel like the loneliest place in the world is on the stage. And that feeling came and hit me, because there's, if you play enough shows, you just know,
I know that
there's sometimes you're up there and you just want to be anywhere else but than where you're at. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. I guess from the outside looking in, they just be like, oh, you're super talented, or this is easy for you, or blah, blah, blah. And it's not. The process of taking nebulous things out of the ether and putting them in some kind of form is art. And then expressing that. And other people resonate with it because they don't understand how to do that same thing, and they vibe with what you're doing. That makes you completely vulnerable. You're naked all the time. When you're taking your own stuff and putting it out there, it's easy to cover other people's stuff. That's not you. But when you're doing your own thing, especially when you're in places where they're not receptive, or, it just gets really rough sometimes on the inside level when it comes to being a creative out here in the public eye. So I have been going through some things like that lately. I just want people to know, we're normal people. We go through things too. It's not as easy as it looks.
Ain't that the truth?
And it's not always that fun.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier that you did some traveling. If you could play any venue, this is just a question for fun. If you could play any venue anywhere in the world, outer space, anywhere, where would it be and why?
All right. So I like chaotic, low key chill spots. If I had to go a big venue, something I could play for fun, Red Rock Amphitheater in Colorado, that'd be pretty dope. But yeah, I would just love to travel and play in cool ass spots. You see how this place has a lot of personality, small coffee shops, or just cool ambiotic places where there's a good vibe of people that go there, and it attracts that kind of crowd. Those kind of intimate settings, I love that. But yeah, Red Rock if I had to go big.
I think you're the 5th person I've interviewed on this show who said Red Rocks.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just so pretty.
It's beautiful.
It's so pretty. And I was like, man, yes, I would love to do that.
It's quite a hike getting up there, too. I don't think people realize you basically do some mountain climbing to get there.
You got to get your wind right before you get up there.
Oh, yeah. It's a workout. So what are your creative intentions for the remainder of July?
That's a good question. I need to set more intentions. That's probably where I've been lacking at, because I'm so go and not enough of like being in a receptive space or sitting here and making concrete intentions. Basically just to keep writing. I do have intentions soon of recording music videos, Spotify, all that. Those are my next steps because I got enough songs right now to put out an EP, I think. So, I got a lot of people that are like, what's up, man? You gonna record that? Like, I got fans that ask me all the time, like, you on Spotify? And I'm like, every time they do it, it just reminds me of what I'm not doing. And I'm like, So, yeah, basically getting everything else that I got, like, sewed up so I can start that process. So that's what I'm focusing on in July besides work. Creatively, that's what I'm doing, trying to get this music out, get these videos out. And I'm also getting my poetry together. I am going to be publishing a poetry book. Also, I'm getting my merch done for my shows. I got some really cool shirts that I'm going to be putting out. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I don't know if it'll all happen in July, but I'm in the process in the month of July. I'm going through all these processes.
That's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel. I see your uploads. How often do you put out videos? Is it whenever you have the time to, or is there a schedule when you place videos?
So I think one of my weaknesses is I'm not like super, what creative really is. It's like a skill I don't really care to learn.
It takes a while.
Yeah, even though like I know it would benefit me greatly by doing it. Yeah, I tried to keep up with my socials and everything, but it really just seems like another job. Like if I wasn't a musician and I didn't have to do what I do, I'm not so sure I'd be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or any of that. I just on the fly do what I can. So I don't really have any structure or schedules like I should, but I do the best I can with what I got right now.
Well, I think what you're doing is great. Is there anything new or exciting? Are you playing anywhere in the area?
I will be playing the 16th, Hobo 2, and then I'll be playing the Brick Wall out there in Port St. Joe on the 29th of July. And then I'm also playing Craft 850 Bar right there on the beach, August 4th.
Well, that's awesome. Chase, thank you so much for being here today and being authentic with us and sharing your art and just being the wonderful person that you are. And keep doing what you do. And if there's anything that we can do here at Floriopolis to support you, then we're here for you. Until then, keep St. Andrews salty. We all know that St. Andrews is a wonderful place to live, work, and play. But we also know there isn't enough housing. Yes, many houses have been repaired or rebuilt entirely since Hurricane Michael struck back in 2018, but this area still does not have enough houses or any hotels to accommodate the large number of people who want to be here. So here's an example of how history repeats itself. This is called Hotel Needed, Also Houses, and it was published in the St. Andrews Bay News, July 17th in 1923. I think it's safe to say that this could be mistaken for a present-day article if the reader doesn't notice the date. We're making progress, and I believe if we're patient, maybe someday we might have a waterfront hotel and maybe a few more houses. Hotel Needed, Also Houses. From the many applicants for houses and rooms here this summer, it is quite evident that more houses and a larger hotel would pay here. There never has been so many people visiting St. Andrews as there are this summer, and many more wish to come, but cannot secure such accommodations as they desire. Not a day passes, but inquiries are received asking about accommodations, and from parties who wish to stay here from 2 weeks to 6 months or more. We have some of the choicest sites for a tourist hotel that can be found in the state. Beautiful waterfronts, safe harbors for small boats, bathing right at the doors of the hotel, fishing all about, and in fact, everything goes to add to one's pleasure in their summer outing. Again, people are seeking a healthful location to live where their children can have good school facilities. St. Andrews offers just as location, but we lack houses. 2 families looking after such a place came here this past week but had to turn elsewhere as no building could be secured. Expensive buildings are not required, but parties are willing to pay good rental for houses that are equipped with modern conveniences such as electric lights and water. Who will start this movement for a larger hotel in these small cottages? This morning, there were at least 30 people looking for some place to shelter and feed them here. And this is not an unusual occurrence this year. It would seem as though St. Andrews was coming into its own once more. I am still in disbelief that I have recorded 38 podcast episodes. Next week makes 39. What a journey this has been, y'all. I'd like to thank everyone who's followed and shared the podcast with all their salty friends. And if you haven't followed us, then please do. Next week, we've got Lois Carter of Kaleidoscope Theater. And have you seen our new YouTube series? It's called Salty Field Recordings, and it features videos showcasing several different local artists. There's a brand new video featuring our guest, Chase Pospichel, out today, so make sure you click the link in the description so you can check it out on YouTube and subscribe so you'll know when all the new videos come out. The theme song was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz at Boundless Sounds on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. The show was recorded by me in my music room. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
Red lipstick, so thick, and a push-up bra. Tramp stamp, stretch marks, and a lacy thong, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew